But let's dive in now into really how to perform at your peak. Do you think we've already covered some of that? Absolutely, but I wanted to break this down because this is now where we go like deeper again. It's like stripping the layers. Because here's the thing, at the start, and this is what I would like you to remember when you're running a training with your team, you've got to get buy-in at the start. If you go into all the meaty stuff right at the beginning, you're going to lose a lot of people. So it's important that we build it up, we get everyone engaged, and by the way, learner-led training is by far the best kind of training that you could possibly do. So rather than standing here, in fact, I don't like to use a stage. I'd like to be, and if you've worked at some of our workshops this year, you'll know that I'm not on a stage. But as we grow, there are particular things that we need to do so everyone can see us, and obviously we're here, so we made sure that the stage wasn't too high, right? But again, work with the people rather than elevating yourself to another level. Does that make sense? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so how do we perform at our peak? We're going to go into the Reignite High Performance Model. The great thing about this is it's going to interlink everything that we just mentioned this morning, but just into a simple 4-step system. Firstly, I want to just remind you, if you haven't seen this before, this is going to be great. If you have, this is a really, really important reminder. And that is the journey that you're going to go through as an entrepreneur or as a human being. It's really around how we learn things. You see, everyone first begins with high motivation and low skills for the first time. Would you agree? Remember when you joined your network marketing business? How was your motivation that first day? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be a millionaire. Yes, yes. Calling my mom, I'm calling my dad, I'm calling everybody. That was a phone, by the way. Okay, so here's the thing. Everyone starts in phase 1. And phase 1 is that motivation high, skill low, but it's what we call the unconsciously incompetent stage. So you don't know what you don't know. It's what I would call ignorance on fire. My first phone call for business went something like this. It was to my mum's friend, and I called her up and I said, hey, listen, I've got an opportunity for you that you could make $1 million from. This is an amazing opportunity. It's got a compensation plan that's broken into 6 different areas, and those 6 different areas are really focused. Oh, by the way, there's also 300 products in the range, and those 300 one of my favorite products is about weight loss, and then there's also this cool thing for your hair, like helps you regrow hair, and also we've got this really cool humanitarian division where I can actually like feed kids around the world, and I went for 30 minutes, and she says, James, I need to stop you there. I'm not interested. Is this network marketing? How many of you have been there? We've all been there in some capacity. Maybe not 30 minutes like James Yates on my first call. But here's the thing, right? We don't know what we need to do. How many people have joined and you hear, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to like fill a room next week. 300 people. Oh gosh, the amount of promises that you get from people, and then they get engaged and they realize that it's actually harder than they first thought. What happens when people go through that? What do you think happens to their motivation? They become conscious that they're incompetent. Now, I just want to compare this to a really simple analogy. Imagine it's the 1st of January and you decide to join the gym, and you've never done it before. You've decided to go for the first time. Anyone that goes to a gym, do you remember that first time you went? It's a bit weird, wasn't it? It's like lifting this metal stuff. And yeah, so here's the thing. With this whole second phase, most people that start a gym membership that haven't done it before are here, really excited. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm going to be so fit. I'm going to be so lean. And after 3 days of getting up at 5 a.m., what happens? They give up. Oh, this whole sweat thing's not for me. It's really difficult. I actually had to do something. And so what happens is people quit. They give up. In network marketing, most of your people will give up in this second phase. And it's a real worry. Now, it can be managed. It can be managed in a really, really big way. And there's a word called expectations that we need to really look through here. Managing someone's expectations is probably your best opportunity right up front to be able to help someone get through these initial phases whilst they're still learning what they're going through. They've really importantly, right from day one, got to be plugged into that community that I mentioned before, that culture where they feel like they belong, right? Because if they've got that and they go through this, they may still stay. In fact, there's a good chance they'll stay. But what you've got to look at here is that most people that get down here say, well, it's not working. See, it's not working. But again, the expectation was to be a millionaire in their first 12 months. And look, you know, it's so funny. That word makes me cringe. And I don't mean it in a way where I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear it. But it's so overused. Like, it's like everyone believes that that's what everyone wants. And again, if you focus on becoming a millionaire, you probably won't become a millionaire. You've got to find meaning in something. So what's that million going to allow you to do? Right. But here's the thing. So if we at the start say, this person says, James, I want to become a millionaire in 3 months. Oh, yeah, sure, it's possible. What do you think is going to happen when it gets to this stage? They're out. But what do you think if I said, you know what? I've seen someone out of all the 17 years I've been in this business, I've seen one person do it. In fact, I haven't actually seen anyone do it that fast, but I'm just giving you an example. And saying that, I'd like to manage some expectations here. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take you 10,000 hours to master your craft. 10,000 hours. Has anyone read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? If you haven't, read it. What Malcolm Gladwell talks about is no matter what profession you're in, the concept here is that people have had to do a lot of practice, 10,000 hours to become that master. And once you do your 10,000 hours, generally a lot of people will go on and succeed. Now, 10,000 hours in network marketing is 5 years full-time. Full-time. 10 years, 20 hours a week. How many of you are less than 20 hours a week? So everyone in this room is doing network marketing more than 20 hours a week at the moment? Okay, so less than 20 hours a week. Put your hand up. Great. So it could take 15 years to do your 10,000 hours. But that's okay. Because in network marketing, you don't have to be a master to start making money. You can work with people that have already succeeded and you can hack and leverage yourself faster. But the key thing is to manage the expectations and not paint this unrealistic picture. Oh, it's so easy. All you've got to do is you've got to call 3 people. You just need 3 people in your team, that's it. Said whoever that got to $1 million, right? If you paint that picture, you downgrade the industry. It's work. The only thing you should be exaggerating in this entire journey is work. It's going to be hard work. I failed for 5 years. I didn't make any money in those first 5 years. Like I made like $10, $50, but I didn't make money to live off. But I stuck in there because I had vision, I had dreams, and I had realistic expectations. The one great thing that my mentors did with me so well, and they said, James, you're only 18 years old. They said, this is going to take time. You know, we're 50. We've done life for a lot longer than you have. And I'm not saying that you can't make it, but I'm saying don't be harsh on yourself. Learn the tricks, learn the trade. Learn about you first. But again, whilst you're learning, you're still acting. And eventually it turned around. My 6th year in the industry was great. It was fantastic because of those hours beforehand. So I've been here officially 5 times where I've actually resigned from the company. So I actually contacted either someone that was in customer service or I contacted the upline and I said, I'm out. And, you know, basically all that was reminded to me consistently was, James, just don't give up on a bad day. If there's anything you could, like if you're here today thinking, you know what, I'm here like to revive my business here, I'm just like, I feel like this is not for me anymore, or I really hope I can get some motivation. I can't give you motivation. Motivation lasts 72 hours. It's extrinsic, external. That's the bells and the whistles. Here's the problem though, by the way. Most people join a network marketing business extrinsically. It's like, you know when you go shopping and you don't need something, you go past and all of a sudden there's this beautiful, I was going to say handbag, but then don't picture me with a handbag, right? But you know, I was picturing like a Louis Vuitton, like something big, right? So, and then all of a sudden you go and you buy. It might be a car. I'm just giving you examples. But the concept here is that, you know, you're emotionally buying. And a lot of people emotionally buy into network marketing. And that motivation lasts 72 hours. So can I give you guys another hack? When you build your business, you've got 3 days, 72 hours for that person to take action, or there's about a 95% chance that they'll quit before they've enrolled 5 people. Where did you get these stats from, James? I made it up. But about that. No, generally. Like from just surveying a lot of the market, like it's a very low percentage that join that don't actually do something in their first 3 days, that go on and, the leaders see the opportunity, see the alignment, and they run. And so you've got to remember that. So one thing that we can talk about a little bit later today is, and maybe write this down, you've got to have a powerful getting started process. You have to. And that's if you're buying a McDonald's franchise. Do they still exist? They do? Okay. Just checking. If you're buying, look, McDonald's has such a great business model still. They still had a great business model. Their product is becoming irrelevant faster than their model is good. And the reason for that is, again, the whole health awareness piece that's coming in. And there's still this attachment and stigma, even though they've gone down the health path. But the key is, with the business side of things, they've done exceptionally well. But even if you bought a McDonald's franchise and you opened it up, you don't sit there and not do anything for 3 days. You open the doors and you run. And momentum creates a lot of results in network marketing, but not hyped momentum. Momentum being working with lots of people in a shorter period of time. That's what works. So it's important that you focus on that. So I've just given you a couple of hacks really because here's the thing, if someone's in this is the great thing. If someone's in the first phase and their motivation's high, but your skills are high, that's a beautiful marriage. You as the upline and their motivation is just beautiful. It's perfect. And that's where you could be launching someone very, very quickly into something. So that's where it's basically working and saying, look, you've got access to people and motivation. You're excited. I know what I'm talking about. Why don't you get your people in front of me? You can launch people very, very quickly that way. And what happens is then, let's say, and now it doesn't happen every time, but let's say you do launch that person and they do get a few enrollments, then this dip is not going to go as low. Because they've already got something to call on. They can see that, okay, it's not all working the way I thought it was going to, but I've still got something to show for it. Is that making sense? Okay. You guys are really deep in thought. I can see it right now. Okay, phase 3. Consciously competent. The only way to become consciously competent, which is basically knowing what you're doing, is through education and experience. Applied learning. Rather than doing what we're doing today, which is give you lots and lots of things and hoping that you're going to go and apply. And I don't say I'm hoping. I know that through the way that we're teaching here, there are going to be key things you can. But that is not going to help a new person teaching it that way, right? You want to be doing one thing or teaching one thing, making sure that person applies that one thing. Then teaching the next thing, making sure that person teaches the next thing or applies the next thing. Because ultimately it might be, okay, can you write a list for me of 10 names? Now, if that person doesn't write a list of 10 names, why would I go and then take them through a getting started training? Why would I then go through a whole back office training and all of this other stuff? That's just procrastination. Why not focus on the one task at hand? You've joined because you told me that you needed this so you could be with your family. Okay, well, let me show you how it's done. Do you trust me? Yes? Great. Okay, this is how we do it. I need you to write 10 names. Can you do that? Yes. I've written 10 names, James. Now what? Okay, let's now work out how we can contact these people. Is this making sense? Okay, this is the way we're going. So by taking that approach, we can get people to the consciously competent phase over time. And then ultimately, once you're on phase 4, you're unconsciously competent. Unconsciously competent just basically means that you are on autopilot. Did anyone drive here today? Do you remember actually driving here and putting it into first and second and third? And no, you did it subconsciously. You've been doing it long enough. And that's the same concept. So that's the journey of 1,000 miles. Now, the concept here is the Reignite High Performance Model is broken into these 4 areas, and I don't want to spend too much time on them because we've covered them through conversation already. But again, process is absolutely vital. Again, we business-wise need to be a little bit linear, but we need to be adaptable within that. So the first step for all of you today is find meaning in everything that you do. And if you don't have a connection to what you do, change it. Oh, James, it's easier to say that. I've got a job, I need to pay the bills. No, change it. You will find something that you are connected with if you want it bad enough. I love this. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. That's like I was saying about aiming for money. It's not the meaningful stuff. It's what you can do with it. You okay for me to move on? Step number 2 is passion. Every single day, do what you love. Please don't wait. I really beg you to not wait. Life is so short. Do what you love every single day. Get out of bed excited. All the things you've been trying to put off, do them now. And most of them don't require money. The meaningful things often are experiences that you can experience either individually or as a family that will light you up and really trigger some very, very happy hormones in the body that lead to further success. Number 3 is presence. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, practice being present. It's mindfulness. Here's a little quick hack. When you meet someone today, take 3 deep breaths before you walk up to them. Focus on your breath. Focus on it coming right into the bottom of your stomach. In fact, right now, how are you all breathing? Are you breathing through your chest, through your lungs? Are you breathing? Now, I know that's funny, but I often find myself, now I'm a lot more aware of it, realizing that I was holding my breath. A lot of us hold our breath. Now everyone's going, feels good, doesn't it? Now, by doing that 3 times and then being in the moment with someone, it's going to be much easier to focus. And you're going to look at that person for that person rather than thinking of that stress that you were holding on to for the last 2 minutes. And number 4 is influence. Once you've mastered you, look at how you can help others. I'm going to give you one simple thing today, and that is simply just ask good questions. So if you summarize everything we've spoken about, yes, a lot of personal performance, but at the end of the day, what you're really focused at is really helping others to go on that same journey. So by asking good questions, by asking people what drives them, what lights them up, what are they passionate about, you can find out about people very, very quickly. People will start dreaming in front of you if you ask good questions. The most memorable people are the people that didn't even talk about themselves. They ask good questions. People love speaking about themselves. When you open up the opportunity for someone to speak about themselves, then they will remember you. Just a networking tip 101. By the way, when we get to the social media piece, this is pivotal as well to your success. You want to take the same approach and you also want to apply it. So rather than assuming everyone's going to buy your product online, you want to be asking more questions. What are you posting? Is it a question or is it a pitch? We'll get to that. I'm going to go into 7 high-performance hacks, and we're going to go through them. I believe that the speed that we've been going so far is there's a lot of information in a short period of time, but I believe they all interlink for you. So I feel like this will make sense as well. Here's the 7 human performance hacks. Number 1, get up early. Like, this is my favorite part of everything I talk about now, these 7 key points. How many of you just love your sleep? Successful people get up early. Most of them. Look, by getting up early, there's some really key things that you can do here that can ultimately help you to hack your success as well. You're going to firstly be more proactive. You're going to have more time. Would you agree? You know, my biggest shift was when I used to get up at 8 and I changed that now to 5. Now, I'm not saying you do that bigger gap in one go. But by getting up with the sun, it's pretty amazing what happens in terms of just being able to make the most of the day. And you're so much more grateful for everything as well. Like, if you can get outside when the sun's coming up, just put your feet firmly on the grass. Pretty amazing what you can do. There's actually some science backing that as well. It's called earthing. Anyone ever earth? Yeah, very, very good. So earthing is basically the concept of putting your feet firmly on the ground that can connect with the soil and the earth. And the reason it's really good is it can reduce inflammation in the body. It can do so many other things as well. But it also helps us to ground. When you actually start looking at the words and start looking at how it all works, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Grounding, I'm on the earth, I'm on the ground. Okay, it kind of comes together. So earthing's really, really cool. You're going to be more proactive. You're going to have more time to transition into the day as well. So again, what we're seeing a lot of at the moment is people getting up and they're reaching for their phone first thing, getting stressed, and then they're going off and doing other things, and they've had no time to wake up. Okay, so then what happens? Cortisol. Did that sound good on the mic? I kind of got a little nice echo then. Okay. Gives you more time to transition. It's going to increase your not only being more proactive, but also more productive. Okay, so you'll be able to get more done, and you'll be able to probably be better at doing it. How cool is this one? How many of you would like to be more optimistic? Just by getting up early, you can be more optimistic about life. That's very cool as well. And I believe it also gives you this one. It gives you more time to do what you love. So many people say, I don't have time. I think that's the biggest excuse I've ever heard. And I respect, because I've been there. But it's shifting your priorities in life rather than saying, I don't have time. You don't have time, you'll never have time, because you've created that neurological pathway. Okay, moving on. So getting up early is really important. And I believe that if you want to have a high-performing team, you get up early. And you also teach everyone else also to get up early. By the way, it's been proven you can have better quality sleep from getting up early as well, as long as you go to bed at a good time. You sync more with the earth's rhythms. Okay? So ultimately, you'll go deeper into sleep. Number 2. Oh, okay. Are you ready for this one? Okay. Start your day right. So 86%, I want you to think about this for a moment. 86% of smartphone users reach for their phone first thing in the morning. How many of you do that? Come on, let's just have a phone party right now. Put your hand right up. Do you know 35% of Americans reach for their phone before they say good morning to their partner who's sleeping next to them? The stats are even higher in the UK, and I haven't got any for Africa right now, but same concept. Here's what happens. Can I just talk about what happens when you reach for your phone? We gave a lesson about cortisol earlier. So what happens is you reach for your phone, you start scrolling. A lot of us are addicted to the blue light flash. It's a little bit of dopamine addiction, which is where, dopamine is one of our happy hormones, right? Basically, it makes us feel good. But it's really driven by anticipation. So we actually reach out for our phone because we anticipate that something's going to be on it. Would you agree? So we reach for our phone, we take a look, we start scrolling. Now there's the old FOMO coming in, fear of missing out, because we've seen that there's 23 Facebook notifications. We also see that there are about 10 emails, and there's an email there from someone that I don't trust. So now I'm going to have to look at that one as well. Everything that you're doing right now is elevating your cortisol levels. Your stress hormone is now at the highest possible peak at the first time of the day. Now, when it's at that point, then it triggers everything else I mentioned earlier. Cortisol, 7 minutes or more elevated, can make us a lot less smart. And I say that so beautifully, don't I? A lot less smart. Makes us stupid, right? We don't function at the highest capacity. Someone then drives in front of us on the way to work or on the way to a meeting. What happens? You honk your horn and you get really angry. And then what happens is you get to work and your boss now tells you something that you really don't like. So what happens? You're in a space where you now start creating stories around that. So now you've got to call your best friend, you've got to call your partner, and you've got to tell them about that story. So now that story has now literally dictated your entire life and your happiness for the last 24 hours. Is this making sense? All because you reach for your phone first thing in the morning. Now, if you want to build a high-performing team, if you want to imagine your entire team were doing that every single day, you just have a whole team of 5, 10, 15,000, or just 2 people that are stressed. Doesn't matter how big your team is, the fact is everyone will duplicate, right? Doesn't work really, really nicely for the result that you're seeking. So we've got to really hack this. So here's how we hack it. MBI. We start every single morning with MBI. Move, breathe, set your intentions. Feel free to write that down. Okay, so the concept with this is we want to be moving for 20 to 30 minutes, in the morning. And we want to be getting it to a stage where it's not highly, highly stressful on the body, but it's basically some form of simple activities. Could be something like running, but just jogging or sweating, something like those kind of things that trigger that little bit of sweat. And what that does is it releases cortisol and a few other of the happy hormones. Not cortisol, that's the stress hormone. It releases endorphins, and endorphins are basically going to make you feel good. So rather than reaching for your phone, now you've found a hack to replace that, which is now you're going to feel good. Would you like to start the day like that? Absolutely. When I say move, I'm saying do it first thing. Before. Look, personally, I believe before you eat, but that's because there's a whole science hack to fasting as well. We're not going to go into that today, but that's another thing. Okay, so moving, but again, it's not high intense exercise. If you're doing it on an empty stomach, it's not high intense exercise. Okay, you can do high intense. We'll talk about that later, but for now, this is just like really simple stuff. This is like literally, how do I get my team performing better? Okay, move. 20 to 30 minutes. Breathe. That is where you're practicing some form of mindfulness. Now, in this example, that could be just stretching and breathing through it from the bottom part of your stomach. But we could go a lot deeper than that. We could go into a whole form of meditation. Anyone do meditation in the room? Like this? Okay. Meditation, I believe, is going to be one of the biggest industries in the world over the next 10 years. So if any of you have got money to invest in, probably I'm not giving you investment advice, but I truly believe that is one of those industries where we need it more than ever. Ancient practices of being able to just breathe and get through different practices to be able to help us perform at our peak, changes the neurological pathways, shrinks the amygdala, which causes the stress hormone. There's a lot to that. We're going to get into it. Yes? Yeah, guided meditation's cool, but then turn off all the notifications. So the question was, what if I need to get to my phone for a guided meditation? Well, do your moving first, and then go for it. Now, then 3 is setting your intentions. So setting your intentions is this. What do you wish to accomplish for the day? And say it out loud like it was already done. So if you want to accomplish, it might be as simple as, my goal in my business today is to speak to 5 new people and create 5 new friends. Great, so make sure that you've said it out loud like you've already done it. So you say it out loud. So you've done your moving, you've gone for a run, you're now breathing, and now you're setting your intentions. It's 6 p.m., and today I've met 5 new friends. Again, you're now programming yourself for success. Does that make sense? Okay, you okay for me to move on? Okay, brilliant. Okay, moving into the next piece, practicing gratitude. Gratitude. Very, very, very cool. Again, let's just go back there. Now, here's with the gratitude piece is quite interesting because it basically helps to trigger a lot of our happy hormones as well, or our happy neurotransmitters they are. Practicing gratitude makes us feel better. In fact, it triggers a lot of the neurotransmitters that are designed to be triggered when people take antidepressants. It's meant to elevate, right? So by practicing gratitude and doing your MBI every morning, I guarantee you will start feeling better. So here's an activity. This is a little hack, and I love giving this. I work with a lot of clients, and we do this one-on-one, and we then do this as a family. But how many of you in the room have families? Just people in the house that you kind of related to? Yeah. Okay. With your family, every single morning, I'd love you all to buy a gratitude book. So you all have a book, each, and you write down the things that you're most grateful for, and then you know what you do? You share it as a family, out loud. It takes 5 minutes, guys. I don't know if any of you sit and just do breakfast together or whatever it is, but that's a great opportunity just to sit in a moment and just practice gratitude. What it does is it puts everyone, if you've got kids and they're going off to school and things like that, and there's that kind of that anticipation, stress, everyone's manic, just brings that calm back down. It just triggers happiness. We all feel good. And so doing that in the morning, and then at the end of the day, also then writing it down again and practicing gratitude and then saying it out loud. You're starting the day now with gratitude and you're finishing the day with gratitude. How do you think you're going to feel? What are you most grateful for? Give me some shout outs right now. What are we grateful for? Health. Life. Love. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff. And hey, call me crazy, but trust me on this. It wasn't until I got all of this that I actually got the big result. All the stuff beforehand was great, and it gave us some some great stories, but the sustainable part of business comes down to life itself, which is all of this. Being able to hack the mind, being able to hack the body, and create the ultimate level of success. You know, happiness brings success. Success doesn't bring happiness. Okay, number 4. Consume for performance. So this is just in addition to all these other hacks we've spoken about. So the key with consumption is be mindful of what you are eating and drinking. And when I say that, look, it's amazing the world that we're living in at the moment with how much we are not eating fruit and vegetables. And they talk about this whole 5 a day thing. Man, like, you should be having a lot more than that if you want to perform at your peak. And so what's happening is we're eating a lot of food that is not food, highly processed. In fact, if there's anything in a packet, we don't go near it. And we wanted to set that as an example right up front with our little one as well. So food and water, really, really important to know what you're putting in your body. We could spend hours on that, so I don't think today is probably the day to go into it, but we do a lot of this online as well, in terms of just really how to dive into it. Water. You want to know a few things about water? Oh, go and Google it. It's not good. All I can say is be careful of what you drink out of. Anything with BPA, it can basically leach the moment a bottle gets hot. So bottled water is not cool if it's out of a plastic bottle. It's actually poisoning our bodies right now, and that'll come out in the next few years. I don't know if you guys have seen recently Johnson & Johnson and the talcum powder thing. Anyone seen that? Yeah, Johnson & Johnson have been sued, and actually the company have officially lost for billions and billions of dollars because talcum powder had or still has, in some regards, asbestos. So a lot of people were getting cancer. So look, it's mainstream in Australia on the media now, but most people don't know all of that. Why am I telling you this? I want you to perform at your peak. I don't want you to be a wreck health-wise. Okay, so just be aware. Just start asking questions. What am I putting on my body, in my body? And the water piece is interesting as well. You just want to make sure that you don't drink out of a tap as well as a plastic bottle. So what does that leave us with? There's a few solutions. They'll come over here soon. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that one. Please Google it if you would like to Google it. Information. So this comes back down to the TV. Comes down to what you're consuming in terms of your mind. So be really, really conscious of what you're putting in your body from that perspective as well. And then in addition, energy. So energy is again based on the people that you're surrounding yourself with and all of that. Number 5, visualize every single day. Has anyone read the book, The Winner's Bible by Dr. Kerry Spackman? It's a really good book. Dr. Kerry Spackman is a sports psychologist. He's had more Olympic gold medalists win than any other sports psychologist in history, or that was the case when he wrote the book. Anyone done a vision board before? Yeah, that's the same concept. So what he is focused on is getting the athletes to win was basically seeing it as if it had already had happened, the actual race, and visualizing it over and over and over again. By being able to see it, is believing seeing, or is it seeing believing? So yeah, well, it works both ways. You need both. But if you can see it, you can achieve it, right? So never stop seeing your goals, your vision board, and your intention or your intentions everywhere. So this is how I hacked my own high performance. From the 5th year to the 6th year in my network marketing career, I started to do a lot of visualization work. In fact, back then I was single, so I got away with this. But above my bed, I had all my vision, my dreams, my goals. And I say that because it was hectic, right? It was like a proper collage on the roof. But I would see it when I was going to sleep, and I would see it when I first woke up in the morning. Look, I'm not expecting you to go to that extreme, but what you can do here is you can manifest anything that you see long enough. If you believe it, from seeing it, you will achieve it. Okay, so manifestation comes down to, you see this whole law of attraction piece, and I think people have thrown this way out too crazy. I mean, anyone watched The Secret or read The Secret, right? So The Secret was the first time we saw it kind of come mainstream. The Secret concepts, people started saying, well, I see myself making $1 million, and they would sit on their couch. Well, how's that working for you? manifesting things that you desire in your life comes just to absolute clear focus, vision, and belief in being able to do it. And putting it out there in the way that, you energetically, you know you can. And so, the concept with this is to make sure right now you have a vision board of the things that light you up the most. But not just the cars, because I see vision boards with cars and houses. Okay, great. But what are the meaningful things that really connect with your heart? Like, take out the conditioning that we all think we have to have a Ferrari and go down a level, which is what actually makes me feel good. And then put that up as your visualization. Now, what you can do with your vision board is you can also put your intentions on the vision board with that thing. So, for example, let's say you wanted to open a school that would help people somewhere, right? And you could say it as if it had already happened. Today is the 1st of October, 2019, and I am currently in my school wherever it is, and I feel amazing. Right? So again, visualization with intentions on it, and if you're reading that consistently, you take a photo of it. So my suggestion is to actually, you could do this as a team. Cut out vision, but like the old way. Cut out magazines, cut out things, actually build it up. But take a photo of it so it becomes your screensaver. So it becomes, your laptop screensaver as well. You can put copies of it behind wherever you're sitting. It might be behind the bathroom door, right? Wherever you're looking, it's there. Does that make sense? Okay, is this helpful? Okay, great. So all of this is really going to help trigger this high performance. Number 6 is to be productive. Please don't be busy. Be productive. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. So do not do tomorrow what you can do today. Now, a little hack for productivity in my eyes that works really, really well is just to make sure that you have a key priority list and the things that are the hardest get done first. Because it's really easy to have like, hey, I've got to pay the bills and I've got to do the washing and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And eventually it adds up. And being a stay-at-home dad, like I literally have like this list of over and over and over and over. All of this kind of stuff happens, right? And I do all of that first because I know it's going to help the family. But I keep avoiding the thing that is the most important, right? Which might be something in terms of being able to do something with business that allows us to do A, B, and C, which gives us a better life. I'm just giving that as an example, right? So again, prioritizing what is most important and doing that first. So when you do start working, you do that at the beginning of the day. Number 7, the final piece. We spoke a little bit about mindfulness. I just want to talk about the reason that this has become more important than ever right now. And that is this. Our brain processes 11 million pieces of information per second. Per second. Is that a lot of information? With the busy life and the busy world that you've got going on, and all the priorities you have, in addition to all of the surroundings that you're trying to take in, it often becomes very, very overwhelming to live life in 2018. And I say that because often it's subconsciously that's happening. We're not even conscious of it. We wonder why we're always trying to chase our tail and we're feeling anxious and we're feeling all this anxiety. Sometimes we just need to slow down a little bit and breathe. Now, I'll tell you something that changed a lot for me. When I started practicing mindfulness in the form of meditation. Now, practicing mindfulness can be that whole presence piece. That could be like, I now know that there are these people here and I want to talk with that person because of these reasons. Like I'm right in that observation phase. It might be that you go outside and you see that there's a tree there for the first. That's mindfulness. That's practicing mindfulness. Breath work, actually focusing on your breath. That's a form of meditation, mindfulness as well. You could focus even right now. Actually, let's all do this. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Okay, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, this time more through the stomach. And one more. How do we feel? Dizzy. And how else do we feel? Oxygenated. You just practice mindfulness. And all of a sudden, it just gives us life again. It just makes us feel alive. And so by doing this regularly, that is something that you could practice immediately because this is not ever going to go away. But we can hack that by being aware of all of this as well. So there's a lot of science and there's a lot of different types of meditation. You can do guided meditation, you can do things like that. In fact, in our academy online, we have once a month, we bring in a world-leading meditation expert and basically takes us on a journey, which is fantastic for 20 to 30 minutes. So those athletes right now that are performing at their peak are practicing mindfulness all the time. Those business professionals that are getting to the top of their game are practicing it. So why aren't we doing it all the time? Just because it's not been spoken about, was seen as some woo-woo thing, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on a second, how can it be woo-woo just breathing? Right? Like mainstream society is just really if you actually think about that, it's just really changed the human experience, often a little bit negatively as well. So there's a lot of science involved with this whole piece. So I always recommend 10 to 20 minutes a day. It calms the mind. Here's what it does for me personally, and I'm not sure about you that practice it, but for me it creates space still within milliseconds. So for example, if you're stressed, you react. You're in reaction mode. Would you agree? Something's thrown at you, you react to it. If you're in a space of being more calm and more mindful, when something happens, you've got a little bit more space to be able to create or make a decision how you wish to respond to that, if any. And what you generally find is it doesn't affect you as much. So if someone cuts you off in the car in the morning, rather than the whole reaction, it's, you know what, I can just take a little bit of a step back. I don't need to be forcing this. Okay, I can drive a little bit more safe. I can breathe through this. And that, then when there's a big business opportunity within your current setup thrown at you in terms of being able to work with a big team fast, you're in a position where you can handle it. That's what it's all about. From a science perspective as well, it also, as I mentioned, from the amygdala perspective, which is a tiny little piece in the brain that helps, regulate stress and all of that, it shrinks it. It's actually scientifically proven to shrink it. So there's a lot of science now showing this. This is why it's going mainstream. There's a lot of neuroscience to back it up as well. Not only will it calm the mind, it will absolutely reduce stress. I have some clients that are over the years have suffered from major areas, and by practicing this, it's amazing to see the difference already, which is very, very cool. It also changes the shape of your brain. So again, if you think positive thoughts, you'll become more positive. But the same concept here. If you practice mindfulness, you'll become more calm. The amygdala is designed in the brain so that if there's a snake jumping out, you react and you get yourself out of danger. By being able to shrink it a little bit, you still see the snake, but you decide whether it's a snake or a stick in that time. Make sense? Okay, fantastic.